Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Before I introduce you to our guest, here is a quote. Continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential. Sir Winston Churchill. Our guest today, someone that knows how to unlock potential, not just for themselves, but everyone there around, including myself. They're a friend of the Culture Matters podcast, someone I deeply admire in their work ethic, their fatherhood, their friendship, working together with them over the years. And I'm so excited to have them back. The founder of All Things Insurance Group, Pete Fournier. Thanks for coming back to the show, my friend. And I'm excited to dive into what you've been up to and all the things that you're creating of value for your partners and the stakeholders of ATIG. And yeah, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me. It's funny that that was the quote with no predetermined discussion because I just had a training literally yesterday about how momentum creates or maintains motivation.
Really?
Yeah, meaning you're only unmotivated because you're not doing any activity. I'd be unmotivated too if I was just sitting around doing nothing.
What do you think it is about activity and momentum that have a relationship in your estimation? Being in the business you're in for as long as you're in it operating at such a high level in that business. What is it about activity and momentum?
I'm not a runner, but I would equate it to that. Like right out the gate is like I do remember running cross country or track or whatever in high school, and like the worst thing that you could do was stop and walk or stop to like throw up or whatever it was during a race. You at least wanted some sort of jog, pace, whatever, because as soon as you slowed that down to either a stop or a walk, it was so difficult to start running again, no matter how long the break was 5 seconds, 15 seconds, 50 seconds. And I equate that to business a lot. Like any time that I've had downturns in income, in activity, in motivation, it was because I stopped or I slowed down. And keeping that pace is one of the most important things that entrepreneurs can do, whether they're in insurance or not, is to just keep that pace going. If you got to slow down to a jog sometimes because you got to recoup, get over a sickness, recover from travel, that's fine. Jog it out. You're okay. But like never stop moving. As soon as you become dormant, it's very difficult to ramp up again.
Yeah, what is it from what is it about starting from zero, right? Where it's like 0 to 10 is harder than um 10 to 60.
Yeah, it's because you have no inertia, right? So like I talked about it on my training yesterday. It's so funny. Wow, full circle. We didn't even speak yet. Is like when you start in insurance, like when I started in insurance, the phone was so heavy. Door knocking, my wrist was so heavy. Like making that initial call, the study materials, getting through it was so heavy because I never did it. So it's like creating that initial spark, that initial inertia to get the ball moving is so much more difficult than, okay, I'm making dials. I'm doing it. I'm making a dial every 10 minutes. Why don't I make a dial every 2 minutes? Why don't I make a dial every 30 seconds? Because you're in the pace and you can decide whether you want to ramp up and sprint or jog for a little bit or anywhere in between. It's just starting that process is so difficult. It's why people do really poorly, I think, coming in with like New Year's resolutions, right? They go to the gym. Let's say it's to get in shape, lose weight, get shredded. They work out for 2 weeks, 6 weeks. A vacation comes up. Their
Mm.
kid gets sick, whatever, and they stop. And then all of a sudden they get back into the same routine that they were in, the year prior.
Do you think there's any relationship at all with I remember one of our conversations from the past, one of the shows in the past, there was a time where you actually put yourself in a geographical location, almost like I'm envisioning a desert and an oasis. Like, is there a connection with putting yourself up against the wall or putting oneself like for those that haven't seen that show, you would put yourself in a different geographical location, place you weren't familiar with. So you think there's a connection, and you can unpack that a bit between that and keeping momentum.
Yeah, it was twofold. Like, I'm sure there were leads in Cleveland, Ohio when I first started. There were leads in Jersey, but for some reason, because it was my own ecosystem, it was my neighborhood, it was either where I lived after college or my hometown. Eventually I had to move back to Jersey because I was in a bunch of debt. But like I felt like in my own ecosystem, I was grasping at straws for some reason. So I had to take myself out of that and fly to Washington State and run leads there or fly to Arizona because one, there was no distraction, right? There's nothing else to do but work. So that was huge. I didn't have buddy, 23-year-old kid. You want to go party in Manhattan and stuff like that when you live in Jersey. So I didn't have friends calling me, or if I did, I was like, bro, I'm in Arizona. Like, I can't. What do you want me to do? And I would pick semi-rural places where like the most entertainment you could have was like a Buffalo Wild Wings. You know what I mean? So there was nothing else to do to distract you except push, go, run appointments, door knock, uh, dial. So that was one, is eliminating the distractions. But two, forcing yourself to, I had to buy a plane ticket. I didn't have a lot of money. I had to buy leads somewhere else. I had to get a hotel room. At 23 years old, it's not very cheap to rent a car because you're not 26 yet. So I had to use Sixt, S-I-X-T, right? And get a Prius and pray that they don't gouge
Wow.
my eyes out. But like that spend to create inertia, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 bucks a pop on a credit card, knowing that's going to come due at the end of the month, I have to work. I'm forced. So sometimes people need to create, I don't want to say a bad situation, but an important situation to put your back up against that wall to create inertia if you did slow down or you did stop. So I think that's an important theme to realize too, is like if you find yourself slowing down, then make it more difficult. Ramp up the treadmill. So you
Mm,
have to run.
mm. Wow. Why did you start All Things Insurance Group?
So, a couple different reasons. One, first and foremost, is our mission statement, which is eliminating the friction of both agents and our clients doing business in the insurance space. I wanted to make it easy for agents to write business, to make money, to create an ecosystem and a business for themselves, because I believe financial services is one of the best industries that you can possibly be in. And two, because most clients, Joe off the street that needs life insurance, health insurance, auto insurance, professional liability, group benefits, whatever, very, very rare to find a carrier or a company, rather, an agency, a brokerage, where they can knock on the door, either figuratively or actually at our brick and mortar here in Wilmington, and say, I need this, 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 and this. And I say, okay, no problem, because the concept really stemmed from like you ever go shopping, like malls aren't a big thing anymore, but I remember like going to Garden State Plaza in New Jersey because I needed a pair of shoes, a pair of jeans, a hat, a t-shirt, and maybe I wanted a Cinnabon, and it was all in one space as opposed to driving all around town to go to these different stores to get stuff. Clients are getting lazier and lazier, and it's not of any fault of their own. It's because of like we have the internet, we have AI, we have all this stuff at their fingertips. We have Amazon where you can ship, mineral salts and energy drinks to your house in like 24 hours. So I wanted to make it easy. The other reason was I developed my own sales career and pride myself on being that Swiss Army knife for my clients. It allowed me to have over 93% client retention. Once I get a client, I usually don't lose a client year over year over year. And I want to be that one-stop resource for them. One, because it's easier for the client to transact. And two, ultimately we're in business to make money, and you can make a lot more of it if you are that one-stop shop for your person. Now, it's hard for a lot of insurance agents to learn that. So I wanted to create an environment where they would have stepping stones, come in and learn life insurance, then develop health insurance, then develop Medicare, then develop annuities on this designated path. So that way they're not all over the place. If I just told the general insurance agent, hey man, you got to be a Swiss Army knife, it would be like drinking from a fire hose. They would have no idea where to go in terms of knowledge, products, sales tactics, etc. So we created a blueprint for them to be able to do so.
Mm. What have you learned about yourself?
Hmm. One that I can't just snap my fingers and duplicate myself. Johnny can't come into ATIG and be me. in 12 to 18 months. And I had to get over the fact of that being frustrating. It's not frustrating. It's a learning experience. It takes time, just like anything else. You gotta mold the sculpture. You know what I mean? So taking the frustration out of it and knowing it's going to take 18, 24, 36 months for me to be able to mold Johnny into who they are, because you start to develop, and whether you're in insurance or you're, a high level producer in any industry, I think you tend to stop developing empathy towards people because you have all this knowledge and
Hmm.
arguably all this business acumen, all these skills that you just can't regenerate in another human being like lickety split. Like, I've been in this almost 15 years. That's a lot of knowledge and a lot of tactics and a lot of getting punched in the face that I have to bestow on Johnny in 3 to 6 months. That's never going to happen. So you kind of got to reshape your own brain and look inward and say, what did I know 6 months in? What did I know 12 months in? Put yourself in their shoes and try to develop this level of empathy to say, hey, Johnny, I'm going to take you along for the ride. It's going to take 36 months. It's going to take 4 years, whatever, but I'm here to guide you, you know?
What's it like to see those Johnnies start clicking and it start working?
Ah, that's the best part of my job. I know that I could go out and make millions of dollars on my own personal pen, but that's not my why anymore. It was in the beginning, make money, get nice stuff, right? And then you evolve out of that. So that's the biggest reward I can have in this business, is seeing an intern making 2 grand in a week, or seeing an agent that's been by my side for the past 3 or 4 years now making two, three, four, $500,000. And they have to realize it too. Realize if you are starting in my space or any other entrepreneurial endeavor, it is going to take time. But that's a huge reward for me. It's literally why I do it now.
How many or what percentage of those in the business are likely going to go and invest in a plane ticket and put themselves in the middle of the metaphorical Mojave Desert of wherever to earn business? Like, is there anecdotal percentage you have there, or is
It's
there?
got to be less than 1%. Although you would see now online everybody killing it and everybody going through the muck and the mud. But realistically, if you interviewed probably 100 insurance agents, I would say one, maybe two. I don't know. I have did that. There were 86,000 licensed agents when I lived in New Jersey, just in the state of New Jersey. And I doubt 99% of them even wrote an app in a year, let alone get on a plane and go other places. Um, you need twofold. You need the work ethic and the chutzpah and the belief in yourself to be able to do that. But you also need kind of something catastrophic to happen to you. I had 50 grand in roll up debt plus 50 other thousand in student loans and houses and cars I shouldn't have bought and afforded. So I backed my own self against the wall in an unnatural way. So I was forced to do it, right? I believe everybody should have their fall from grace in their hero's journey and be in that pit of despair at some point. And if you haven't gotten there yet, I promise it will happen as you continue to grow. Um, but that could be a sole reason on why only 1% have been there, because they've lasted that long to
Hmm.
experience that fall from grace or that pit of despair. They gave it enough time where something bad actually did happen, put them against the wall, and then force them to execute.
Is there any at any level motivation or inspiration in creating the RMS as a consequence of facing that reality that most either won't put themselves in that position or you don't want them to necessarily to give them. I'm just, like,
Yeah, like in creating the RMS, which stands for the ATIG RMS, is the All Things Insurance Group Relationship Management System. It's basically taking everything from a tool perspective: joint work, trainings, dialer, CRM, minutes, nurture campaigns, recruiting campaigns, organic leads, paid leads, lead store, all this stuff organically put in one ecosystem. Because what happens is no one, at least where I've come from, no one took me and said, Pete, here's the box, buy it. Here's what to do: buy these leads or go network or whatever. And don't look up. for the next 12 to 18 months. People were like, well, you could do this. Well, you could do that. Well, you could do this. Well, what the fuck should I do? Just give me the blueprint to copy and paste. And that's where the RMS started to develop in terms of just concept. And now we executed on the idea and it's live and it's awesome. But why I created the relationship management system was just that. Hey, man, hey, girl, you want to come in the insurance space? Here is the blueprint. I promise you it works. Here's the box. Here's the tools. Here's the scripts. Here's the products. Now run. Do the activity. 90 days, 120 days, 6 months, a year. Don't look up. Now reevaluate. It goes back to my 3 R's in business of sometimes you have to rest, pull back a little bit. You have to reallocate, right? This lead's working, this lead's not working, this lead's working, this lead's not working. Reallocate your funds, reallocate your activity, reallocate your time, and then run again. And then that's going to be a cycle of yours. Every once in a while, you pull back, you rest, and it's not the rest like we talked about, 20 minutes ago of like, I'm going to sit on the couch and rest. My rest is, oh, I have a zoom out. I talk to you. I talk to a mentor. I talk to a coach. I'm going to zoom out on the business, rest, look at everything, what's working, what's not working, reallocate activity, money, time, and then run again. And that's the perpetual process. And if you don't have something like the RMS, if you don't have someone like me, and this is insurance or any other career, it's going to be you're going to feel like a lost puppy. There's too much information out there versus, hey man, here's the blueprint, here's the job description, here's how you execute. Let's go make money. And that's it.
Mm, mm. If you had it when you first started knowing what you know today
Oh,
on an individual performance basis, what do you think would have been possible from a performance?
like so many things. One, I didn't have a CRM for like 6 years. My first 6 years in the business, 2010 to 2016, nowhere to put clients. I've showed you the spreadsheet. I have like thousands
Yeah.
of people in an Excel file. No nurture campaigns, no retargeting. It was like boom, transaction, money in, spend on leads. There was no business. It was money in, money out. So that's first and foremost is like tracking all of your people, your clients, something as so small as like someone's daughter got married, someone's dog unfortunately passed away, the birthdays, Christmas, all that stuff. The other thing was joint work. Like when I first started a little over 14 years ago now, 2010, um, joint work was like a way for your manager to make money off of you. That's how it was like perceived. Like, oh, I'm going to recruit a bunch of guys. They're going to go out and farm their warm market, and then I'm going to make money off of them doing joint work. Agents should be doing joint work for their first 1 or 2 cases in each new product vertical to get paid to learn. So I didn't want to create an ecosystem that ripped agents off. We 60-40 split their way if they need to do joint work. But what the RMS allows them to do is say, hey, I got John Smith prospect. He's 52 and a half years old. He is looking to retire in 10 years. Help. I'm going to raise my hand in the system and I need HQ to help me pitch a retirement plan, an annuity, Medicaid, whatever. And allows for a cohesive back and forth where the agent doesn't feel like they're getting ripped off and they're getting paid to learn at the same time.
Mm, mm,
Endless reasons on why a tool of that magnitude, for me early on, I'd be light years ahead. I wouldn't have to figure everything out on my own for
mm.
90% of it, you know?
Who's it not for?
It's not for the part-timers and it's not for the uncommitted. And I don't say part-time in like a mean way, like obviously you need to pay your bills and stuff, and maybe if you're trying to wean out of a W-2 or something, but it's not for the people that are the hobbyists in the insurance
Because
space.
I want to address something that I think is important. I think there's a paradox here that needs to be addressed, is that for those like that are real sharp paying attention, you are who you are today because of the things that you went through.
Yes.
So if you could address that, or how do we reconcile that? You are who you are today because of what you went through, and what you did have to learn on your own and where you did fail.
So
So,
no,
you know what I'm saying?
yep. So no matter what, in at least my space, right? My space in the industry of insurance, you're going to have pitfalls. You're going to have chargebacks. You're going to have clients say pound sand. You're going to have carriers that come in and out of the networks for health and for Medicare. You're going to have products that disappear. You're going to have commissions drop on you. Things are going to happen. That's inevitable. It doesn't mean that you have to start with a handicap plus have all those things happen to you. Let's start with the implementation of the tools and the resources that you need to start a business and go from there. It's why franchises are so popular still. Burger King, McDonald's, friggin' Dairy Queen, whatever, name a franchise. They say, okay, Joe, business owner, you want a piece of the pie? I'm going to give you the blueprint. Here's how McDonald's makes hamburgers, makes Frosties, makes French fries, whatever. But that don't mean that you're not going to have hiccups of people calling in sick or needing to get fired because they're stealing from the register or this, that, or the other thing. So there's a level of you don't have to cut your nose off to spite your face and go through it the absolute hardest way because you will have hard times ahead no matter what industry you're in. But start with at least a leg up so that when the hard times come, you have tools to implement to get you out of it faster and have it not take 20 months like it did for me. You
How do
know,
you know if somebody has the chip on the shoulder necessary to be successful?
their why initially. So my interview process has shrunk down so fine tuned in a good way. Like if I have a 7 minute interview with you, it means it either went super positive or super negative, like real fast, and I found out and it was not a fit or it was a fit. During that process, I ask why they want to be in the industry. Why do you want to make money? Like why? That answer is determinant on the fact of whether or not they're going to have the skin to be able to do this. I'll give you two examples. One, a good answer is I want to make money. Okay, how much? X amount. Why? What is the purpose of the money? No answer is wrong, but you should have a purpose. It's not, I want to make a lot of money. Oh, okay. In the ether. Great. What are you going to do with it? I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. Okay, cool. That was probably my why at 22. Like, who knows? I have no responsibilities, right? My why now is to provide for my family and to leave a legacy, and it evolves. But you need the money, right, to implement the why. My why is to build a theater later on. I need money for that, that kind of thing. So that's first and foremost. The other thing that is a determining factor on whether they're going to make it or not is not only the why in terms of money, but the why in terms of where they came from an environment. I don't mean like you have to come from the depths of hell to come into this business and kill it. And I don't say that if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, that you're not going to make it in this business, right? There's a dichotomy for both situations. But what did their environment do to them to put them in the position of them interviewing either across the desk from me on a Zoom or on the phone? Because a lot of the times, I don't really know anyone that's been like, "What's up, Pete? I really want to get into insurance." Usually something negative happened to them to cause them to be talking.
Mm.
What is that? And what did it do to them? And how are they going to leverage that in the industry going forward? So those two things are very important. They got to be money driven and there's got to be a why behind it. And there should be something in their ecosystem that triggered something, that chip, to cause them to want to speak to me. If they don't have both of those things, they're probably not going to be great.
Someone's executing at a high level already. Why ATIG?
Optimization is the number one word. Optimization of your business. You could be a high performer on the personal production side. That's great. Most agents, high majority, are not Swiss Army knives. And I will tell you, if you're a high personal producer in life insurance vertical, in Medicare vertical, in ACA, I've been implementing tools in the RMS and technologies, working a lot with AI. If you're a one trick pony, you will be out of this industry in 3 to 5 years. There is no reason a client 5 years from now can't go online and buy a term policy. Easy peasy. So if you're only doing one little caveat, one little vertical in the insurance space, get with somebody like me to teach you how to be a Swiss Army knife. So technology doesn't take your job. Not trying to be scary, but let's be real. The other reason is because personal producers should not want to personally produce for the rest of their lives. You just created a glorified job for yourself. You should want to build something that you can either leave behind as a legacy to maybe kids, grandkids, whatever the case may be, or some sort of exit strategy. Maybe you want to get acquired. Maybe you want that big lump sum. Like that's my goal, right? Eventually. So working with the end in mind and going backwards. Maybe you're making four or $500,000 a year as a personal producer. That's awesome. Good for you. That's a high level of income. However, how long can you do that for? How long you want to be on the hamster wheel? We want to take you off of that and put you into a system that allows you to build something to either leave behind or exit from in the not so
What percentage of people in the industry think 20 years ahead for
two.
themselves?
Now
For themselves.
I surround myself with a lot of those people at my level, right? My peers, my friends in the industry, we all think very much the same. I will tell you, even agents in the ATIG family in our distribution, most of them can't think more than 90 days out. 120 days out. I need to get to Christmas. I need to get to summer. I need to do this. Man, start with 10 years and start working backwards. And this goes more into like the secret and manifestation and blueprinting your life and all that stuff. But like, again, why are you here? So look 5, 10 years from now and let's take steps incrementally backwards so we could get you to there. As opposed to it's very hard to see that far when you're looking straight ahead. If you start with a plan and work backwards, it's gonna be much easier.
What have you seen that do for people's business to do that?
Oh, and so many of my friends, a lot of them have exited already. Whether it means they sold a portion of their company or a lot of their company, or maybe they passed it down to a relative or a child already, because they flipped the script and started with the end in mind. That's their ultimate why. That's their ultimate goal. So let's get there. As opposed to, man, if I could just make 2 grand this week, if I could just make 10 grand this month, if I could just get to pay my bills at the end of this week, I'm going to be good. That doesn't level anybody up ever. You got to look at yourself up the mountain up there and start working backwards on how to get up those stairs.
What do you think it takes for someone to look ahead and stay engaged?
Um, a lot of mentorship first and foremost. You can't do this by yourself. So whether I'm your mentor, you have other mentors, you have outside counsel, outside consultants, outside coaches, like our relationship, like you need somebody that's I really like Dante's Inferno. Great book. If you haven't read it, read it. It's awesome.
Dude,
Or
what are
the,
the odds?
yes,
What a
well,
weird
yeah.
coincidence. Well, we didn't talk about this, but it's literally right here. That's so cool.
Divine Comedy is
Yeah.
one of my favorite pieces of literature. It's
Wow.
very difficult to read. Get the English, translated, dumbed down version if you need it. But he's taken on a spiritual journey through heaven, hell, and purgatory, right? In other orders, for
Yeah, wow, yeah.
but you need that person to be able to zoom out with you because you can't do it when you're in it. We all have this mantra of like, I'd rather work on the business than in it. Well, I'm 3.5 years into ATIG. I tell you what, 99% of my time is still in it. I'd like to be on it, but I can't get on it unless I'm in it. So you need somebody every once in a while to take you, right, guide you and say, hey, let's zoom out this weekend and reassess, reallocate, and then you can run again. And those building blocks will get you up the mountain versus these stupid short term goals of like 30 days, 45 days. That's important, but you got to be going towards something bigger and better
Mm.
way down the road.
What role do you see team camaraderie in those in the industry from your experience succeeding, staying in the business, succeeding at a high level? Like community, what role has community played in the success stories that you've seen?
It's so important to be around your teammates. If you're part of an IMO, an FMO, an agency, get around your peers, get around your managers, get around the owner. But also go to industry events, go to networking groups of people in your same space because learning from them, yes, is important. That's first and foremost. But the other thing is you get a sense of camaraderie in saying he's going through the same shit I'm going through, or he went through it 12 months ago. I'm going through it right now. He got out. How did he get out? I'm going to be okay. Am I going to be okay? Very hard to get any of that reassurance when you're sitting on an island in Nebraska in your basement making cold calls because your manager told you to. Sometimes you got to get out of your space, just like I had to fly all over the country and get around like minded people and just get some reassurance that, all right, more than one person has been in debt. More than one person has gotten chargebacks. More than one person tried to start a company and failed. I'm gonna be okay. But if it's just in the ether and you're just hearing stories, it's very hard to believe that before
Hmm.
you can actually see, touch, shake the hand of the person that had these failures or trials and tribulations, the same that you do on a daily basis. So super and super important from a culture standpoint and from a motivation standpoint to get around those peers.
What's been the feedback of those that have opted in, have bought in to the RMS ATIG community? The RMS, what's been the feedback of why they chose to and got excited about leveraging that?
Insane ROI. Like once you get into it and you start playing with it from a CRM and a dialer perspective, yes, those are the tangible tools, right, that will improve your business. But there's also nothing like Johnny Client reaching out via allthingsinsurancegroup.com and saying, I really need help with life insurance, flipping that to an agent within the RMS and then making 10 grand because they were able to find a solution for Johnny organically. Like those wins are so amazing for me to hear. And it's also things that like I hope partners in the RMS don't take this stuff for granted because it doesn't exist out there. So the one thing I will warn, if anybody within the ATIC family is listening to this, don't rest on your laurels because you have the tool. It's just there as a tool. It's not going to make you a gajillionaire. It's there to level you up. So don't get
Mhm.
complacent with it.
Well, isn't that like in a sense, how about this for a scenario? There are people that, the immigrant mentality.
Yep.
There are those that have come on the show and said that there's an American, it's the American gift, not the dream, because the dream is for people that aren't here. It's
Ooh,
a gift because we have it here. We could lose it or not take advantage of the gift. You see what I'm saying? So
yes.
yeah, Eddie G. Prez says that all the time on the show, and so in that spirit, like, can you speak to that? Because you just mentioned, you have it, right? You have to do something about it. There are people that come to the United States and they get the most out of the culture, and then there are people that are born here and they don't. So I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that because I'm thinking that as like a metaphor, right?
I see some of our own team that because I've been doing this since 2021, at least with ATIG, right? So I have people, day oneers, that came with me, believed in the dream. One of my first 14 that came over, and now we're at 400 plus, right? Came with me, and they're like, I don't know if I'm going to get it yet. I'm going to wait. I'm going to do this that they're not bought in because they don't see it as, oh my God, the new shiny toy, the new opportunity. Oh, it's just Pete's stuff. We're used to that. Well, now what we're seeing is people coming over from other organizations to ATIG, and they start crushing these people in terms of production, in terms of motivation, in terms of being on every training call, being bought in, starting to recruit. And like that's a constant development that the people are leveraging the tools against you. So you can either shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? And if you don't want to level up, I mean, that's your own crisis or cross to bear. But it is funny that you mentioned that immigrant mentality because I do see more and more people that have never been associated with me before being bought in and like leveling up way faster than some of these people that I've been working with for 3.5 years.
Well, in some countries, you can't start a business. It isn't even an option.
Yep.
And in the US, right, we can start it. So imagine the person that wants to do it, that's in whatever culture, and they can't, what they'd be willing to do to get that opportunity versus somebody that has something. It is a part of human nature. Interesting thought. Uh, what would you say, just in closing, the what number one core value that comes to your mind of those that have taken full advantage of relationship management, um, system and culture to just win at the next level, like the core value?
The initial one is, I don't know if the value is entrepreneurship, but what I see is the entrepreneur versus the insurance salesperson. The people that are taking advantage of the RMS and all the tools that I bestow on them, in kind, they're turning into, if they're even not quite there yet, business owners versus commission-based salespeople. And that's what you want to be, whether you're in auto sales, insurance sales, you're selling friggin' ice cream. You want that entrepreneurial value. You don't just want to sell for a living because that's how you grow. And even if you're a solopreneur, the tools baked in, at least in the insurance space, the tools baked into the RMS will allow you to create that business as a solopreneur and offload a lot of the bullshit that I had to do on a daily basis for 6 to 8 years, right? Versus I'm going to call Joey, sell him insurance. I'm going to call Dorothy, sell her insurance. And it's just this churn and burn gerbil wheel constantly, right? So that's the two main differences: salesperson versus tried and true business owner.
People want to get contact with you. What's the fastest way?
Anything on social media, Peter J. Fournier everywhere, Fournier, at Peter J. Fournier everywhere, PeteFournier.com, all things insurancegroup.com. But I answer all my own social. So reach out there first and foremost.
If you're listening to this, please share this with someone that you know needs to hear it in and outside of insurance. Follow Pete. We will see you next time. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.